Good evening, many thanks for joining us and welcome to CoreTV News at 7 with me, Emmanuel Ezekiel. A group called the Ogun State Elders Consultative Forum has charged all concerned bodies, the Nigeria police, the media, politicians and the electoral umpire INEC on the sustenance of peace in the state ahead of the April 11th elections. Our correspondent Olajumoke Olatunji was there and filed in this report.
Today in Ogun State, the political awareness is high among the electorate, with Ogun State's governorship and House of Assembly elections just 2 days away. With appeal for peace and violent free polls coming from different quarters, the Ogun State Elders Consultative Forum also joins in asking for peace during and after the election. The group, led by former Commissioner for Information Taiwo Alimi, has called on all concerned bodies to ensure that these coming elections is devoid of bloodshed.
The Elders Forum would like to appeal to INEC in Ogun State to strengthen the enduring electoral legacies being established in Nigeria by the national chairman of INEC, Professor Atahiru Jega. As the Nigerian media, our attributes and values such as courage, integrity, accuracy, reliability, balance, fairness, patriotism and commitment to Nigeria, yesterday, today and tomorrow must be strengthened. Our appeal to the Nigerian Police Force and SSS and other security agencies is to imbibe the principle of human rights policing, which is citizen-centered.
For the politicians, he admonished them to maintain the peaceful nature of the state even after the polls.
The Ogun State Elders Forum implore all political parties in the state and their supporters to maintain peace at all costs before, from today, tomorrow, and after the elections of 11th April 2015. Ogun State is a peaceful state, and the Elders Forum plead that the state be kept peaceful.
The group, Ogun State Elders Forum, was inaugurated on the 9th of October 2005. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Abeokuta.
Staying in Ogun State, and what could be attributed as heeding the advice of the elders ahead of the governorship and state houses of assembly elections, the police and other security agencies in the state have again gone back to the drawing board on how the state can achieve a peaceful poll. Olajumoke Olatunji was at a meeting held at the police headquarters in Elewero. Her report.
In less than 24 hours, Nigerians will be heading to the poll again to observe their civil duty for the governorship and National Assembly elections. All security agencies and other stakeholders are advocating for violence-free elections as observed at the just concluded presidential and National Assembly elections. Against this background, the police and other security agencies gathered at Liwero, headquarters of the Ogun Police Command in Abeokuta, with representatives of political parties and how to continue with the peaceful nature of the state during and after the election.
This is a very important election because it's a grassroots election. That is why we need to talk to the stakeholders and also we, the security agencies, how we can synergize and to have a peaceful election, devoid of any problem. We, on our part, as security agencies, we are guided by our rule of engagement. We have given adequate coverage during the first stage of the process. That is the electioneering up to the election itself. We are once again going to another election. Those lessons we learn, those areas we know we have observed lapses, we have corrected them, And we're sure we are going to give adequate security to the electorate to discharge their franchise, to the election managers, that is the INEC, we will provide adequate security for the INEC staff and INEC materials.
Speaking on behalf of the State Security Service, Umar appeals to all politicians to do the needful with their supporters following the reported violence in some parts of Ogun State some hours ago.
I want to add an appeal that we should seize our swords, please. We didn't have this during the presidential and National Assembly election. So why should there be a very high tension now? As the AIG observed, this is a very important election because it is locally based. And if at the take-off point there is no peace and everybody is charged, I don't know what we will meet in the field. So the security agencies cannot achieve it or cannot get it right without the cooperation of the other actors.
The Guardian also urged politicians who went about their escorts to the polling booths during the last elections to desist from such, as the institution would not tolerate such this time. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Abeokuta.
Staying with preparations for the forthcoming governorship elections and relating to security, the Navy, that's the Western Naval of the Nigerian Navy, say they are fully prepared for the second lap of the 2015 general elections. Flag officer Jonathan Ango, while parading a suspected sea pirate, told journalists in Lagos that they will work hand in hand with INEC and the police in ensuring peaceful and violence-free polls. Correspondent Patience Ajiboye was at the briefing and filed in this report.
In his address to the press, Flag Officer of the Western Naval Command, Jonathan Ango, says, although the police and other security forces are working, the Nigerian Navy have also ensured that measures are on ground to facilitate smooth elections.
As part of our preparations and our actions, we have deployed our ships from the day before yesterday to cover the inland waterways and also to protect the ships and patrol the territorial waters. We have deployed 4 capital vessels and 2 coastal patrol boats, and then we have about 4 inshore patrol crafts that are patrolling the waterways.
The suspected sea pirate, 31-year-old Sholasta Ma, says he is not aware of the reason for his arrest, as he was only going about his daily means of livelihood.
I'm not a sea pirate, so I have a family. I'm not a sea pirate, I stay in Ajegunle. So I am a passenger. Before I'm a ship handler, I was buying food to ship and supply before. So after I graduated from under my boss, so I bought my own boat, passenger boat. People should charter me to sea to supply a food. And by myself, I buy food at times to the white men. I supply them food and card. At times they'll call me to bring card and food, to bring card and all the banana, plantain, all these things. Like they'll give me product, at least 5 keg, 10 keg. At times I buy from them.
Ango, who says about 10 pirates were noticed during the raid, and all but Shola Sama escaped, warns other pirates to desist from the unlawful act.
We are up and ready for them, and they should look out. They should rather go and find another place to perpetrate their acts and not the Lagos waterways.
While perpetrators of electoral crimes may feel the land is now heavily guarded and so have resulted in using the sea to carry out their heinous activities, the Western Naval Command of the Nigerian Navy has assured Nigerians, and particularly Lagosians, that not only will they help in the movement of electoral materials to riverine areas, they are poised to ensure that no criminal caught on sea goes unpunished. Patience Ajiboye, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Now away from security relating to the elections to the correction of a misinformation by INEC, where the Independent National Electoral Commission wants Nigerians to disregard claims by some political leaders that temporary voter cards will be used for the April 11 governorship and State House of Assembly election. INEC insists that only voters with permanent voter cards will be allowed to vote come Saturday. It specifically noted that a state governor in the North Central geopolitical zone has assured voters in his state to come out on the day with their voters card, that's the temporary voters card, if they do not have their PVCs The Commission advised Nigerians to disregard what it describes as false assurances and warned that security agencies are prepared to arrest anyone who infringes on the laid-down electoral guidelines. INEC has meanwhile assigned the resident electoral commissioner REC of Kogi State, Hussein Ipai, to supervise the governorship and state House of Assembly elections in Kano State following the death of Minkala Abdullahi last weekend. In the meantime, the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC in Kwara State has identified non-removal of nylon films on the finger-captured region of card readers as one of the causes of the hitches experienced with the device in the March 28 presidential poll. INEC also attributed the flop to the removal of the card readers as battery, stating that the process required that the device be reconfigured before it could be used again. The Commission, in a memo to the supervisory and presiding polling officers by the State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Emmanuel Onucheyo, gave some directives to the officers to forestall a repeat of the challenges. The Public Relations Officer of the Commission, Ayonda Jacob, said the earlier hiccups could be avoided if the officers complied with the directives, and further hinted that both sensitive and non-sensitive electoral materials had been moved to the 16 local government areas of the state to ensure that Saturday's poll was more effective. Well, at this point, we'll go for a quick break. Do not go away. The news at 7 will return with more stories. Stay with us.
Don't you wish your mommy was fine like mine? Yeah. Don't you wish your mommy was smart like mine? Yeah. Don't you? Don't you wish your mommy could laugh like mine?
And that's why every mom should take 3 Crowns milk with low cholesterol to help stay fit and healthy so she can take extra care of her family.
Don't you wish your wifey was hot like mine?
3 Crowns now comes in powder.
Welcome back. If you're watching us now, you're watching CoreTV News at 7. Well, you can reach us on our following social media platform: Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News, or our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG. You can also reach us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space and then news. Now, one of the helicopters in the presidential fleet crash-landed immediately after takeoff at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, with 2 pilots and 2 passengers sustaining minor injuries due to prompt response by the National Emergency Management Agency. The situation was brought under control. The fire was put out as fast as possible as they rescued the trapped victims. They are all safe and responding to treatment, says the Air Force. Now, with the successful conduct of presidential and National Assembly elections across the country on the 28th of March 2015, all attention is now on the governorship and state houses of assembly elections, which will take place on Saturday, April the 11th. How prepared is Lagos for this election? Oluwaseyi Adegoke has details in this report.
Saturday's battle for the governorship post in Lagos appears to be a 2-man contest between Akinwumi Ambode of APC and Jimmy Agbaje of PDP. Leaving aside the controversies surrounding the statement credited to the Oba of Lagos, Rilwan Akiolu, about the non-indigens, many are still in high spirits to perform their civic rights.
To pray for tomorrow's election. We don't want any violence. The winner will win, the loser will lose. So whoever wins should take it. Whoever loses should accept it, like what the president did. Is a good example.
We are that federal have already been changed. We need the state to also be changed in a way that will favor the poor masses.
I like the way in Nigeria go now, because now peace, it don't do for Nigeria.
Of course, we need to complete the elections.
For the future ones coming are not in vain.
In some hours' time, the people of Lagos will be deciding who takes over the affairs in the state. They only hope for a peaceful and credible election. Oluwaseyi Adegoke, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Away from election matters, and our next story is on the conflicting price of petrol that has again resurfaced. A report says petrol is still being sold at 100 naira per litre in Ilorin and towns in Kwara State, as it's Thursday, with some filling stations remaining shut. Many buyers of the product had complained that despite assurances from the government that the product would be sold at the official price of 87 naira per litre, it was still sold for 100 naira. A motorist who pleaded anonymity at Tanke area of Ilorin, who spoke to newsmen, said it was surprising that petrol was being sold at such an exorbitant price. Meanwhile, the Kwara State Controller of Operations Department of Petroleum Resources, Amos Jokodola, said the agency would ensure that filling stations selling the product above the official price were penalized. He said the DPR had shut many filling stations that did not comply with government's directive. Now to Ondo State, the state governor, Olusegun Mimiko, has reinstated about 1,000 local government workers in his government sacked last year. The governor said he had also waived the outcome of the last promotion examination conducted for workers in the state. The 1,000 workers were laid off because of what the Ondo State government described as illegalities surrounding their employment. A statement by the State's Commissioner for Information, Kayode Akimade, however, indicated that workers, about 50 in each of the 18 local government areas in the state, have been reinstated and the irregularities of their employment process corrected. The statement added that Mimiko had approved promotion of every worker that was due for promotion. Now, President Goodluck Jonathan has described the late Oronto Douglas as a committed and dedicated individual. The president made the remark when he led Vice President Namadi Sambo and other government officials on a condolence visit to the family of the deceased at his Asokoro residence in Abuja. He also described the former Commissioner of Information in Bayelsa State as a patriot who contributed positively to the development of the country. The environmentalist died in the early hours of Thursday at State House Clinic from cancer-related complications.
It's quite a sad moment, even though we knew it was coming, but it was quite sad. Myself and Douglas are from the same local governments in Bayelsa State, but I knew him first when I was doing my PhD research work. He was an environmental activist. I was doing some aspects of the ecology of the Niger Delta, and my supervisor then, one Canadian, Professor Powell, knew him, and we met in his house. But then when I came into politics, my governor then, I was the deputy governor to Chief DSP Alamis here. He was appointed Commissioner for Information. So since then, we've been close. When I came here as the vice president, he came with me as my advisor on documentation and strategy. A post he held until this morning. Even when I became acting president, he continued as my advisor on strategy and documentation. Very dedicated young man, very committed. I was here last Saturday, even though he knew, because the doctors told him in America that he was going to die in 3 weeks. And he came and he knew it was coming, but he was still very passionate about his work. I've never seen such a person with just kind of a strong will. I think Toronto was a good man. He left us too early, but God knows the best.
For us today, that we have lost a very good friend, a brother, and a patriotic Nigerian. Oronto Douglas is a person of integrity, a patriot, and we pray to Almighty God that his soul shall rest in perfect peace, and pray that the family that he has left behind will have the fortitude to bear this great loss.
Staying with condolence, President-elect Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with the President Goodluck Jonathan over the demise of his special advisor on strategy and documentation, Oronto Douglas. In a condolence message to the President and made available to media by the Director of Media and Publicity, APC Presidential Campaign in Abuja, General Buhari expressed sadness on the death of the President's long-standing aide. He described Oronto Douglas as a young and dynamic individual who still has a lot to offer the country. Meanwhile, President-elect Muhammadu Buhari has commended Italy and other members of the European Union for standing by Nigeria before and during the ongoing elections. Speaking while receiving Ambassador Fulvio Restico, the Italian ambassador to Nigeria, at his residence on Thursday in Abuja, General Buhari acknowledged the key roles EU nations and the United States played in stabilizing Nigeria at a challenging period. Receiving a letter of congratulations from the Italian President Sergio Mattarella, which was delivered by Ambassador Restico, Buhari promised to pay attention to areas that will enhance the existence of bilateral relations between the two countries. In his letter to the President-elect, the Italian President congratulated General Buhari on his victory and commended Nigerians for the peaceful conduct of the elections. He said Italy was prepared to assist Nigeria in managing domestic terrorism, drawing its own experience with internal terror in the 1970s and 1980s. Meanwhile, the Nigerian community in Oman has commended General Buhari's victory in the presidential election, describing the outcome of the election as one that has brought happiness to everyone in that community. We'll go for another break. When we come back, we'll bring you a story rather of how the U.S. and Cuba, after so many years, are trying to cement relations. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Welcome back. Straight to news outside Nigeria. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and Cuba's foreign minister made progress as they held historic talks Thursday night to restore diplomatic ties, our U.S. officials said, before their presidents attend a landmark summit. Kerry and his Cuban counterpart Bruno Rodriguez met on the eve of the Summit of the Americas, the first meeting of this level since 1958, 1 year before Fidel Castro's historic revolution. The chief diplomats had a lengthy and very constructive discussion Thursday evening. The two agreed they made progress and that they would continue to work to resolve outstanding issues, as senior State Department officials said, on condition of anonymity. The U.S. State Department's Twitter account published a picture of Kerry and Rodriguez looking at the camera with straight faces as they shake hands in a room with 2 chairs and a glass coffee table. Well, with that relations cementing story, we conclude the news at 7. Do not go away. Very quickly, the reporter will come up. In the meantime, also stand by as we bring you our primetime news 9:45. Thank you very much for watching. I am Emmanuel Ezekiel.